Just starting off in cybersecurity is not easy. If you're starting off in the beginning of your career, you might want to understand where you want to start and also where you want to finish. And this video is here today in order to go over career progressions or normal career progressions within cybersecurity and talk about some specializations so that you are able to better navigate the vast industry and the vast field of cybersecurity. Here, come on, let's have the discussion. Hi, and welcome to Struggle Security, where we are normalizing struggling in cybersecurity. My name is Gabriel Iberucci, and I am a cybersecurity consulting manager. And today we are going to be talking about career progressions and specializations within cybersecurity. Just like I mentioned in the intro, it can be difficult in order to navigate the whole vast field of cybersecurity. And today I want to kind of break these things down into a couple of different categories, a couple of different buckets, so that you can better navigate your start and where you desire to go within the cybersecurity field. Many of you are just starting off. You might be fresh out of college, you might be early in your career, and hopefully this is something that's valuable for you as you are mapping out and are charting your roadmap as you move forward within your cybersecurity career. So we're going to break this down in a couple of different areas. I'm going to go over entry-level roles, I'm going to go over mid-level roles, senior-level roles, and then we're going to go into leaders, and then we're going to round this thing all off with specializations, because these specializations can be done at every single level that I go over today. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start off with entry-level roles. Many times, if you're going into cybersecurity and just starting off in entry-level roles, this might look like a couple of different things. One thing it can look like is an internship. Many organizations or tech organizations, or even just defense contracting or defense organizations, they might have internships that you can do during the summer as you might be in college, in high school, or very early out of college. So one thing, internships. Another thing, or another role that you can do is a security analyst. A security analyst is a very common title for individuals who are in an entry-level role, or you can also be a security technician. You can be a security administrator, maybe like an entry-level security administrator. But these are some of the titles and some of the roles and things that you can do at the entry level. Also, some of your roles and tasks might be to assist more senior-level individuals or mid-level individuals with doing the day-to-day tasks within cybersecurity. These roles typically involve monitoring systems, conducting risk assessments, and handling security incidents. Now, you wouldn't be doing this by yourself, or you won't be doing this alone, but you would typically be taking instruction from someone who is more mid-level or more senior level in their roles within cybersecurity. After gaining some experience, professionals often progress to the mid-level roles. These roles or these titles might look like a security engineer, might look like a security consultant, might also look like maybe an early security architect. In these positions, individuals are typically responsible for designing, implementing, and maintaining security measures for organizations, systems, networks, you name it. And sometimes within this mid-level role, these individuals might be in that of a consultant type of role or contracting, where you might be hired in as like a mercenary, as a cybersecurity mercenary, where you have very specialized and very advanced skill sets, where you are coming into organizations and helping them with the deficiencies that they might have. They might not have security engineers, they might not have security analysts, but you might be coming in order to apply some of your previous experience into that role. Or you might be hired into an organization as a full-time permanent employee. And that's where you might be like a lead within a security operations center. You might be an individual who might be heavily responsible for networks. You might be a network security consultant or network security architect. And we're gonna get into some specializations later, but these are a couple of roles for the mid-level. Let's go to the next level. When you're talking about senior level roles, and many times those titles might start with senior. So you might have senior security consultant or senior cybersecurity consultant. You might have senior security architect or just a security architect, because many times the architect title is associated with a senior level role within an organization or just within the cybersecurity field as a whole. And those are typically those senior level things. So many times you are responsible, like I mentioned, designing, but in this case, many times you're responsible for the designers of the system. You're responsible for the individuals who are more senior in their roles, and you will be giving them direction, kind of giving them guidance. You might even start to do a little bit of mentorship. And at this level, at the senior level, you're typically given kind of a choice whether you want to be a lead, someone who might be a people leader, maybe an individual that be managing teams, or if you want to niche down into your specification or niche down into your technical fluidity or your technical skill. So that typically happens at the senior level. Now let's talk about the leaders. Let's talk about the leaders. The leaders are those with titles of, typically it would be a director, a security or cybersecurity director, or that of a CISO. CISO stands for Chief Information Security Officer. And that's many times these individuals are leading organizations and are responsible for cybersecurity for entire organizations, entire systems. These positions involve overseeing the entire cybersecurity program or of an organization and ensuring that it aligns with the overall business objective and the business needs. Many times in the senior level and in the leadership level, that's when you really get into the business of cybersecurity. You might be responsible for bringing in or purchasing different tools, right? You might be responsible for bringing in additional resources into your organization and managing those individuals and their roles and their tasks. Really, at this leadership level, you're responsible for entire organizations and the security of them. And, that can weigh a lot, right? Because in these days, we see on the news and everything how many organizations are getting hacked. So sometimes when the organizations get hacked, also the top level, the person who was a leader, that CISO, might also need to look for another job, because they might have had some deficiencies in their security program or security roadmap, and that might have caused or might have been part of what that issue was for that organization getting hacked and there's being an incident. Now let's go into specializations. Specializations range very widely. Because with this cybersecurity, like I mentioned, it can be very difficult to really understand how to navigate this thing. So let me tell you about several of these specifications. One of probably the most popular one, or the sexiest one these days, is that of penetration testing or red teaming. These are what you call offensive cybersecurity professionals, where you're hired into organizations in order to try to find the vulnerabilities, the exploits. You're looking for all of the weak points within organizations before the bad guy finds them. So penetration testers or red teamers or red team operators, these individuals are responsible for finding the bad stuff before the bad guys find them. Penetration testers can be at all of those different levels. They could be entry level, they could be mid level, they can be senior. Many times you wouldn't see a penetration tester as a leader of an organization, but you might see them up probably to that senior level. Another one is security operations. These are the individuals that are handling the day-to-day security operations within the organization. So they might sit within a SOC or a security operations center, and they might have titles of SOC analyst or SOC engineer or SOC lead, right? So these are some of those titles that are associated with that specification. And you might need to touch different tools, things like Splunk. Splunk is something that gives visibility into much of the activity and the networks and the devices that are talking within organizations. And this might give you some type of indication before an incident or a hack happens. So many times these security operations professionals are monitoring, looking for, aggregating logs, focusing on tickets, and really focusing in on the day-to-day operations and the monitoring of the systems within organizations. Now you get into GRC. This is more of a less technical type of role, or less technical type of specification within cybersecurity. And GRC stands for governance, risk, and compliance. And these GRC professionals ensure that an organization's security practices and policies align with regulatory requirements and best practices. These are individuals who might work with a certain industry. So I come from many times the nuclear industry, right? So in the nuclear industry, there's a government entity called the NRC, or the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And they put out all types of specifications and regulatory requirements for how nuclear plants need to run within the United States. Now, a GRC professional within the nuclear industry would need to understand what those requirements are, and really advise the security organization within that company of what they need to do in order to be in regulatory compliance. There are also individuals who work within defense contracting organizations. Individuals might work for defense contracting organizations that go based upon government regulatory standards, and that might need to harden systems and harden devices up to those regulatory standards for many of government facilities, or these might be also government bases. These are all these GRC professionals, and those are some of the realms and places where they might exist. So now you might have another specification as cloud security. So many cloud professionals are responsible for securing the cloud-based infrastructure and the services within organizations. Many times today, organizations are going to the cloud. They're doing these cloud transformation practices or cloud transformation services, where they're going to GCP or Google Cloud Platform. AWS is probably the most popular now, Amazon Web Services, or Azure, which is the Microsoft version of the cloud infrastructure for many organizations. Now, there are security standards for being able to implement these within organizations, and there's all types of other services, all types of other capabilities that cloud comes with when you're talking about securing that infrastructure for companies. So that's another specification within cybersecurity. Now we're going to talk about incident response. And this specification are individuals who come in and deal with incidents after they have happened. So say, for instance, there's a nation state, like let's say, for instance, Russia, right? They come into an organization, they're working as a nation state hacking organization, and they hack local organizations like energy companies or the grid, or we might have China that might hack Sony or something, or North Korea hacking Sony. That was something that actually happened. People who are incident response professionals or who are in this specification, they will come in and deal with the hack, right? They're helping organizations. They're talking to the CISOs. They're talking to the technicians, the security technicians, and really understanding what security measures they have in place and how can they stop the bad guy from going even further within their company. And these individuals and teams are responsible for responding to security incidents, investigating the incidents, and mitigating the damage and that is caused by those incidents. And now we get into actually what my specification is ICS, or Industrial Control Systems. This is a specification within cybersecurity that focuses on securing critical infrastructure such as power grids, water treatment facilities, transportation, oil and gas. I mean, you name it. When you talk about industrial environments, you are talking about ICS, or Industrial Control Systems. This is an emerging field, right? It has always been in place. But one thing that's happening right now is that based upon certain hacks, things like the Colonial Pipeline hack or the Russian hacking within Ukraine, these things have brought way more notice and way more visibility into industrial environments being hacked by nation state actors and really by anybody today. So these are some specifications that are in cybersecurity, or specializations that are in cybersecurity. And hopefully the specializations and the career progressions have helped you kind of dispel one of your struggles or dispel something that you might not have known. If you have more questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comment section. Before you leave, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell, and hit the like button before you leave out. And this is Struggle Security, where we are normalizing struggling in cybersecurity. Hopefully this has dispelled one of your struggles and that you have a better understanding of what it looks like in roles in cybersecurity and some specializations that you can focus in on. Thank you for coming by. Come on again.